Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Mia just tilted her head, surprise flickering in her eyes. Oh, she said softly. Okay, thank you for telling me. Eric stared at her, disbelieving. That's it? You're not weirded out or disgusted? Mia shook her head firmly. Of course not. I'm honored that you felt safe enough to share that with me. I can only imagine how scary it must be. She hesitated, then reached out to squeeze his hand. I'm here for you, okay? Whatever you need. You're not alone in this. Tears sprang to Eric's eyes. After the gut punch of his dad's rejection, Mia's easy acceptance felt like a lifeline. He clung to it like a drowning man. I told my dad last night, he confessed, voice wavering. It didn't go well. He stormed out and stayed out all night. I don't think he can accept it. Pain pinched Mia's face. I'm so sorry, she murmured. That must have been awful, but please don't let his reaction make you doubt yourself. You know your own truth. Do I? Eric swallowed hard. I feel so lost, Mia, like I don't fit in my own skin. What if I'm wrong? What if this is just a phase and I'm screwing everything up over nothing? It's not nothing, Mia said fiercely. If you've been feeling this way for a while, then it's real and valid. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She squeezed his hand again. Look, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that you're not alone. There's resources, support groups, people who understand what you're going through. Eric felt a tiny flicker of hope in his chest. Really? I wouldn't even know where to start. Mia smiled. Lucky for you, I'm pretty plugged into the LGBT scene. I can hook you up. Her eyes twinkled. In fact, what are you doing after school today? There's a trans youth group that meets at the rec center on Tuesdays. I could go with you if you want. Eric's first instinct was to refuse, to run back to the safety of secrecy. But he was so tired of hiding, of carrying this weight alone. And Mia's steadfast support bolstered his courage. Okay, he agreed, mouth dry. I'll go. Thank you, Mia, for everything. Mia just hugged him tight. Anytime, she whispered. I'm so proud of you. For the first time in days, Eric felt a sliver of peace settle in his bones. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There were still so many bridges to cross with his dad, so many questions to untangle. But he wasn't facing it alone. He had a friend in his corner, and maybe, if he was brave enough to reach out, a whole community waiting to embrace him. The girl inside him exhaled, unfurling like a flower bud. Not yet in full bloom, but finally, facing the sun. An hour later, Mim and Eric walked into the rec center, hands clasped tightly. Eric's heart raced as they approached the room the meeting was being held in. Muffled voices filtered through the door. Mia squeezed his clammy fingers. You've got this, she murmured. I'm right here with you. Eric sucked in a shaky breath and nodded. Together, they pushed open the door and stepped inside. A dozen pairs of eyes swung their way. Eric fought the urge to shrink back, to flee. But then a warm smile broke across the group leader's face. Welcome, she said brightly. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Tess. And you are? Eric, he managed, mouth dry. Should he give a different name, one that matched how he felt inside? But nothing else felt right yet. Tess just nodded, unfazed. It's great to meet you, Eric. We're just about to start introductions. Grab a seat and don't hesitate to speak up, okay? This is a safe space. As Eric sank into a folding chair beside Mia, he looked around the circle of faces. Boys, girls, and those in between, all of them with the same tentative hope in their eyes, the same hunger to be seen. For the first time, he felt a sense of kinship, of belonging. These were his people. Here, he didn't have to pretend or hide. He could just be. As Tess started the meeting, the knot in Eric's chest began to loosen. He let out a breath he felt like he'd been holding for years. The road ahead was long and uncertain. He knew there would be potholes and detours, painful conversations and adjustments. But he also knew with total clarity that he was finally headed in the right direction, towards honesty, authenticity, self-love. An itinerary with no fixed endpoint, but an arrow pointing ever forward. He reached for Mia's hand and held on tight, anchoring himself. One step at a time, he told himself. You're not alone anymore. With a trembling smile, he raised his head high and faced the group. The girl inside him sparked bright, a live wire finally allowed to shine. Eric opened his mouth to speak, and for once his voice rang out clear and true. A declaration, an arrival. Hi, everyone, he said softly. I'm Eric, and I'm transgender. The words settled over the circle like a benediction. Eric closed his eyes, savoring the way they tasted on his tongue. Home at last. The journey was just beginning, but oh, what a beautiful beginning it was. As the weeks passed, Eric found himself drawn more and more to the trans youth group meetings. It became a lifeline, a place where he could explore his identity without fear or judgment. With Mia's encouragement, he began experimenting with small changes, painting his nails, growing his hair out, borrowing clothes from the donation bin at the rec center. Each new step felt both terrifying and exhilarating, like shedding an old skin inch by inch, revealing the vibrant truth beneath. At home, things were still tense with his dad. They danced around each other, conversations stilted and awkward. But Eric noticed the way his dad's eyes would linger on his latest changes, the flicker of something like understanding in his gaze. One evening, as they ate dinner in strained silence, Eric took a deep breath and looked up. Dad, can we talk? His father set down his fork, wariness etched on his face. Of course, Eric swallowed hard. I've been thinking a lot about my identity, about what feels right. He twisted his hands in his lap. I think I want to go by Erica now. He braced for anger, for dismissal. But his dad just nodded slowly. Erica, he repeated, rolling the name around in his mouth. Okay, I can't say it'll be easy to adjust, but I'll try. Warmth bloomed in Erica's chest. Thanks, Dad, she whispered. It was a small victory, but a vital one. A chink in the armor of his dad's resistance. As the days turned to weeks, Erica grew bolder in her changes. She started wearing skirts and dresses, relishing the swish of fabric against her legs. She experimented with makeup, watching tutorial after tutorial until she could achieve the perfect winged eyeliner. With each new milestone, she felt more at home in her skin, more aligned with her authentic self. The girl in the mirror finally matched the one in her heart, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dynamic at home began to shift. Her dad stopped flinching when she entered the room, dressed to the nines. He made an effort to use her new name and pronouns, even if he stumbled sometimes. Erica started taking on more household tasks, falling into a traditionally feminine role. She already cooked dinner, tidied the living room, folded laundry with practiced ease. At first, it was a way to keep busy, to prove her worth. But soon, she found a quiet joy in caring for her home and family. Her father seemed to soften in the face of her efforts. He complimented her meals, marveled at how clean the bathroom was. The tension between them thawed degree by degree. One Saturday afternoon, Erica was elbow-deep in soapy water, washing the lunch dishes. Her dad hovered in the doorway, something clearly on his mind. You know, he said at last, voice gruff. This place could use a woman's touch. Your mom, she always had a way of making things nice. Erica stilled, heart in her throat. Was he really comparing her to Mom? Acknowledging her as a woman, even obliquely? She turned to face him, suds dripping from her hands. I'm trying my best, she said softly. I want to take care of you, Dad. Of our home. He ducked his head, clearing his throat. You're doing a damn fine job of it. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like you couldn't be yourself here. I'm still learning, but I'm proud of you, Erica. Of the woman you're becoming. Tears sprang to Erica's eyes. She crossed the kitchen in 2 strides and threw her arms around him, not caring about the wet handprints on his shirt. "Thank you," she whispered into his chest. "Thank you." He held her tighter, resting his chin on her hair. They stayed like that for a long moment, hearts beating in sync. A fragile new understanding blossoming between them. From that day forward, things were different. Easier. Erica moved through the house with a lightness in her step, secure in her role as the lady of the house. Her dad bought her pretty dish towels, scented candles, small tokens of acceptance. At night, Erica lay in bed and marveled at how much could change in a few short months. The scared, suffocated boy she'd been felt like a distant memory. In his place stood a young woman, blossoming in the light of her own truth. As Erica settled into her role as the woman of the house, a sense of peace settled over the household. Her dad seemed to stand a little taller, smile a little easier. It was as if Erica's presence filled a void long left gaping. She took pride in keeping the house tidy and welcoming. Fresh flowers in the living room, cozy throw pillows on the couch, little touches of femininity that softened the bachelor pad edges. In the evenings, she experimented with new recipes, delighting in her dad's appreciative grunts. She found she had a knack for baking. There was something soothing in the precise measurements, the alchemy of disparate ingredients merging into a harmonious whole. On weekends, they fell into a comfortable rhythm. Erica would wake early and make breakfast, pancakes or French toast, something special. They'd linger over coffee, trading sections of the newspaper. Her dad started seeking out her opinion on things. Did she think the living room could use a new coat of paint? What should he get his aunt for her birthday? It made Erica feel valued, essential, a true partner in their family of 2. Of course, there were still moments of awkwardness, of growing pains. The first time Erica emerged from her room in a dress, her dad nearly choked on his coffee. But he recovered quickly, offering a sincere if shaky compliment. "You look beautiful, honey," he said, eyes suspiciously bright. "That color suits you." Erica blushed, smoothing the skirt with nervous hands. "Thanks, Dad. I felt it was time." He just nodded, a wistful smile on his face. "You know, you remind me so much of your mom right now. She loved dressing up, making an occasion out of the everyday." Emotion swelled in Erica's chest. It was the highest compliment he could offer, to be compared to the woman he'd loved and lost, the woman who'd made their house a home. Impulsively, she hugged him tight. "I wish she was here to see me," she whispered. "To see us." He held her close, voice thick. "Me too, honey. She'd be so proud of you, just like I am." Erica sniffled against his shoulder. Makeup be damned. These moments of connection, of affirmation, were worth a little smudged mascara. As the seasons changed, Erica's wardrobe and confidence grew. She saved up babysitting money for a pair of heels, reveling in the authoritative click of them against hardwood. She let Mia talk her into a bikini for the first time, blushing at her friend's wolf whistle. "Damn, girl, you've got killer legs," Mia crowed. "We have got to hit the beach this summer." Erica giggled, striking a playful pose. The girl in the mirror winked back, all coltish limbs and newfound curves. It had taken time, but she was learning to love the body that housed her, to celebrate it even. At school, whispers still followed her down the hallways. Not everyone was as accepting as Mia, but Erica held her head high, buoyed by the knowledge that she was living her truth. Let them stare. Let them talk. She knew who she was. Her teachers were surprisingly supportive, going out of their way to use her new name and pronouns. A few even pulled her aside to offer quiet words of encouragement. "I'm in awe of your bravery, Erica," her English teacher said, eyes warm. "Never let anyone dull your shine." Erica left that conversation walking on air. It was moments like this that made the hard days worthwhile, the little victories, the allies in unexpected places, and always she had the promise of home. of her dad's gruff affection and the cozy nest she'd created. Her refuges, her North Stars. One Friday evening, Erica was setting the table for dinner when her dad cleared his throat. She looked up to see him shifting awkwardly, a small gift bag in hand. I got you something," he mumbled, thrusting the bag towards her. "It's not much, but—" Erica took it with curious hands, pulling out the tissue paper. Inside was a delicate silver locket, gleaming in the light. Her breath caught. "Dad," she whispered, "it's beautiful." He rubbed the back of his neck, not quite meeting her eyes. "It was your mother's," he said roughly. I thought you might like to have it." Tears spilled down Erica's cheeks. She cradled the necklace reverently, thumb tracing the intricate designs. A piece of her mother, gifted with love. An heirloom passed from one woman to another. "Thank you," she managed, flinging her arms around him. "Thank you so much." He hugged her tightly, pressing a kiss to her hair. "You're welcome, honey. I know she'd want you to have it. Her little girl." The words settled into Erica's bones, a benediction. Her mother's little girl, her father's daughter. Exactly who she was always meant to be. That night, Erica slept with the locket clasped to her heart, a talisman against the dark. And in her dreams, her mother's arms wrapped around her, whispering secrets of womanhood, of strength, welcoming her home. As spring melted into summer, Erica blossomed like the roses in their garden. Secure in her identity and her place in their little family, she walked through the world with a new surety in her step. Mia became a fixture at the house, the two girls giggling over fashion magazines and trying out daring makeup looks. Erica's dad just shook his head fondly, occasionally grumbling about the state of the bathroom counter. "You girls are gonna bankrupt me with all these beauty potions," he teased. But there was no heat in it. He started inviting Erica's opinion on more household decisions. What color throw pillows for the couch? Should they install a raised garden bed in the backyard? Her input mattered. Their home became a shared project, a labor of love. One lazy Saturday, Erica emerged from her room to find her dad struggling with a sewing machine at the kitchen table. Scraps of floral fabric littered the surface. "Dad," she asked, bemused, "what are you doing?" He glanced up, cheeks pink. I thought maybe we could make some curtains. For the living room. Your mom—" He trailed off, swallowing hard. "She always said the room could use more color." Erica softened, pulling up a chair beside him. "I think that's a great idea. Can I help?" They spent the afternoon huddled together, puzzling over patterns and wrestling with needle and thread. The end result was a little crooked, a little uneven. But as Erica stood back to admire their handiwork, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. "Not bad for a couple of rookies," her dad grinned, slinging an arm around her shoulders. Erica leaned into him, heart full. Not bad at all. It was moments like these that made Erica realize how far they'd come, from the tense, broken days following her coming out to this easy camaraderie. They'd stitched themselves back together, one loving gesture at a time. Her dad would never be perfect. There were still days he stumbled over her name, still moments of grief for the son he thought he'd had. But he was trying. He was growing. And in the end, that was all Erica could ask for. As the long days of summer unfurled, golden and ripe with promise, Erica felt herself unfurling too. She wore sundresses and sandals, savoring the warmth of the sun on her skin. She chased fireflies with Mia in the dusk, their laughter ringing through the neighborhood. And when the local Pride Festival rolled around, she marched front and center, her dad cheering loudly from the sidelines. With every step, she felt lighter, freer, more herself than ever before. That night, as they sat on the porch sipping lemonade, her dad turned to her with shining eyes. "I'm so damn proud of you, Erica. he said, voice gruff with emotion. Of the woman you've become. I know it hasn't been easy, but you've handled it with such grace, such strength. He took a deep breath, blinking back tears. Your mom would be proud too. And I know wherever she is, she's smiling down on you. Erica's throat tightened, vision blurring. She set down her glass and threw her arms around him, burying her face in his shoulder. I love you, Dad, she whispered. Thank you for seeing me. He held her close, rocking gently. I love you too, honey. Always. They stayed like that for a long moment, crickets singing in the grass, a perfect snapshot of summer, of family, of love in all its forms. And Erica knew, deep in her bones, that whatever challenges lay ahead, she would face them as her true self, with her father by her side and her mother in her heart. The girl in the mirror was no longer a stranger. She was a friend, a daughter, a force of nature. She was Erica in all her vibrant, hard-won glory. And she was home. Finally, beautifully, radiantly home. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.